Hello everyone, thank you for coming along today. My name is Darren Puglisi. I'm a principal modeller here in Brisbane, Queensland. I look after the building structures team in Queensland and Northern Territory. I mainly manage a lot of our multi-disc jobs within BNP. So inside BNP we have all services, structures, fire, elect, mechanical, you name it, we do it. So with a lot what I do, we have to manage a lot of projects that have multiple buildings. So some sites have 50 to 100 buildings with 10 services each. You can be dealing with 500 to 1,000 models. So we've come up with a couple of workflows to try and manage that and make life a bit easier for ourselves. So I'll jump into the presentation. So some of the things I'm going to cover is how we set up our files. So this is based on projects with multiple buildings on multiple sites. So I'm trying to eliminate the need for manual labor of dealing with files within projects. We'll look at some discipline views that I throw into our Revizto models, some coordination views, some QA model review sort of views, and I'll touch a little bit on the Navisworks clash side of things, how we do that. The applications we use, I won't go into it too much. We've all seen buildings in Revizto. Our bridge team started to utilize Revizto in the last year, and our infrastructure team also. And the final part is some workflows around reporting, getting data out of Revizto and using Power BI, etc., to create some views, and I'll show you a couple of examples. So we'll jump into how we set up our container files for our multi-building side of things. So why I get asked the question, why do you use container files? So here's a standard sort of a site, you've got your structure, your architecture, your fire, all your services in there. So we push those into a standard single Revit container file, mainly for the reasons of controlling grids, levels, and the sheet exports from the files. So this is like our standard project. Everything gets pushed down into this container file. So the reason we do that, like I said, is to control the levels and grids mainly, and it's one point of truth for an export at night. So we can set our remote PCs under our desks to cough out these models every night automatically for us. So that coughs them out into Revizto every night or whenever we set. So with the container files, we copy monitor the grids and levels from the architectural model, and the levels and grids stay inside that container file, so they are exported out to Revizto. Like I said before, it stops inconsistency with levels and grids coming from other models. Usually the point of truth is the architects with the levels and grids. It also limits the amount of 3D views being imported into Revizto. We've had users in the past from a single service export out their model willy-nilly, and they send out all their 3D views and it just congests up Revizto. So, and again, one file to export from, so it's quicker to cough out these files, and we work on multiple projects. So these PCs are handling 4 or 5 projects, churning out 500 odd models every night. So the smaller the files are better. We run some files, some Dynamo scripts over these files as well to purge them, to keep the file sizes down as well. Exporting sheets from linked models we found has been faster also. And on some of the projects, we run 2 exports from 2 separate machines, one for the model and one for the sheets. And we use that with the night scheduler, which comes with the Revizto package. So this is just a quick snapshot of what our schedule looks like on one of the remote PCs. So this one's handling 3 jobs. And as you can see, every night it's coughing out Revizto models at certain times for us. We've all used the scheduler, so it's great. You set your time, set and forget style thing. So onto the discipline view. So inside of our projects in the last couple of months, I've been trying to set up some discipline views, just so the guys that aren't so tech savvy can navigate their way around in Revizto. So they can just simply click on these preset views that I've set up, and they can see the discipline they want to look at. So the structure, the mech, the elect, fire. Some of the services coordination views that I create are color coordinated, and I tie these colors to the stamp colors, so there's a bit of continuity within the program. And so as you can see, every discipline I create a view for, so everyone can fly around their own disciplines. Now for services, I also create a view of just services so they can coordinate between each other, the cable trays and ducts and fire piping and all that sort of stuff. That's where we find 80% of our clashes is within ourselves. So those views are really great for our engineers and modelers to be able to flick around, fly around and find views and create stamps and issues for those problems. The coordination views, as I said before, I color code them to match the colors of our stamps. So as we do our stamps, you can quite clearly see who's who in the hood. Again, it's just a little bit of visualization that makes life a bit easier, I found, and the guys seem to like it. So see how it goes. Now, QA views is another one that we've been toying around with the last couple of months. Mainly, a lot of projects now have requirements for elements to be modeled on correct levels and all that sort of stuff. General good practice for modelers, but things happen. People copy up elements up the building and they're on the wrong levels. So we created these quick views to check problems like this. So as you can see from level 1, there's a couple of straggling foundation members that have floated up inside the building. Good point to make, I created this project to make bad views like this. This isn't a live AECOM project at all. So yeah, view number 1, the ground floor, as you can see, the columns haven't been split per level, so quite quickly you can see that that hasn't been done. And again, down in this bottom right corner, we've got columns that go from the roof all the way up that should be split by a level. So they're, again, really quick views to set up, and you can click on them just to check the model, QA and review. So with Navis Clash, we have started to sync with Revizto. Quickly going through those. So we export out our clashes, the ones we want, create a assignee, and then bring them through. We set up our sync options, so what the clash means in Navis and vice versa, Revizto and Navis. And then we sync and push all to the Revizto model. So general workflows, as I said before, our infrastructure guys are starting to get a lot more involved in using Revizto. So this is a very basic sort of workflow that these guys use at the moment. They're Bentley 12D Autodesk sort of Trimble sort of stuff, pushing it through Navis, the clash reports through to Revizto, and then pushing them out into Medium and XXL, etc. Standard sort of workflow at the moment for those guys. For buildings projects, we don't use as many, mainly Autodesk 12D for the civil guys, and again, same sort of workflow. Your native file through to NWCs to do your clash, bringing those in, solving and resolving in Revizto, and pumping out dashboards after that. How we'd like to do stuff in the future for buildings, we would love to be able to do clash in Revizto, which is coming after 5.0, we understand. Automation of clash in the cloud, so it just does it in the background style thing. Set up rules inside projects for specific clash rules. Sheet updates also to be done in the cloud in the background, so it's not a nightly thing that we have to do. And sort of run it from a publish and consume style of an update. So when you're ready to push that through, you can push it through. It doesn't have to do all that churning. As a buildings workflow, we've pretty much just eliminated Navisworks out of that workflow for now. But that's sort of a nice to have that we'd all like to see moving forward. Onto the reporting. So we've got all of our issues, clashes, and etc. into Revizto now. we want to be able to visualize these things. So, sorry, I missed the wrong bit. So in the reporting, we had overall in 2019, we had close to 300 projects active in AECOM ANZ, 2,600 users on the 300 projects, and our engagement on the platform has had a massive increase over 2019, and that's to do with mainly our infrastructure and bridges guys getting on board. So we have quite a large team in infrastructure and bridges. As I said, buildings, infrastructure, roads, bridges are the guys that are using it at the moment. Our RPI team and water, heavy industry, mining sort of thing, I lump those guys in with buildings. Use of the platform on all new future projects. So in Brisbane, we have mandated all of our projects are to be run through Revizto now. So moving forward, those numbers will increase in 2020. This is a link to, see if I can get this to open. It's not going to play ball. I'll open it up for you manually. So this is a sample project. I'm just going to change the share screen over. Sorry, 2 seconds. Share. That one. So this is a report, a Power BI report that we've generated for an example project here at AECOM. So this is a sort of report we'd give to our clients. It gives a coordination history, bullet points of areas of concern, gives them an overall, total, how many clashes, how many solved, in progress, open, etc. Straight to the point information. Then we break it down into service on the left, which services have the most issues / clashes, current open, and then we split it down on the right-hand side to which levels the clashes are happening at. So it's really quick and easy for our clients to see what's going on in their projects. The next one is, so just more graphical style clash reports, issue reports. So if you're a pie chart kind of person or a flow chart kind of person, we cover them all. Historical clashes in Navis. So these are done weekly, as you can see on the right. So you can see the peaks and troughs on the projects. So pushing through. The other example I had, 2 seconds, was, so this is the back end in Revizto, their webpage. So the main one we chase on most of our projects is issues or clashes that have been open more than 7 days. Now this data is a little bit flat because this is an example project that I've created, so it's sort of sat dormant for a good while. But as you can see, there's some spikes and peaks and troughs here. We also go down to multidiscipline, so structures, mech, elect, fire, where all the clashes are, and then down into single discipline. So all these are quite easy to make, and general project overalls. So these are exported out and into Excel and then used in Power BI to create the graphs that I showed previous. I'll just flick back to my other screen now, if I can. Share. Back to the presentation, which is that one. Yep, so that's the other dashboard. This is a really interesting graph that we generated at the end of 2019. So this was all projects across AECOM of in progress, solved, and open and closed issues. They're massive numbers that we wouldn't normally have. The guys creating 23,464 closed items in a year. It's really amazing how easy it is to open things in Revizto and solve them quite quickly. That graph speaks words of what we do and how we're coordinating now inside of the platform. The uptake that I spoke about earlier, most of our guys previously were Navisworks users, and a lot of our older engineers were scared of Navisworks to get in there and play with stuff because I was scared to break it. And we trained them all in Revizto, hour sessions inside of there, and they're much more confident flying around models in Revizto because I've pretty much told them when I train them, you can't break this thing. I can rectify it if you do break it, you know what I mean? So the uptake has a lot to do with these numbers in here, and we've got an associate director here in Brisbane that's in his mid to late 60s, nearly 70, and he lives in Revizto. He absolutely loves it. So, these numbers are great. Everyone should be getting in and having a crack as far as I'm concerned. I can't see why you wouldn't have the uptake that we do. If we're getting people to look at models instead of asking our modelers to cut sections and query things, that's a win in itself. So other than that, I think that's the end of my thing. Yep. So that's the end of my presentation. If you've got any questions, I think we've got the question thing going, Vlad.
Yes, we do.
Yep. Shall I give you back control?
No, that's fine, because we can address these questions to yourself.
Okay, yep.
And look, one comes from Elizabeth Kalis that I believe works in AECOM as well.
Yep.
And it might not necessarily be connected directly to your presentation, but I wanted to check if you had any experience with that. Her project is around the project that can't use cloud because of security requirements,
yes.
Mainly defense work. And
yes.
She's asking about the local drive storing a Revizto model, which is possible, of course. Yes. But she's asking if there's any problems with that and any considerations like VPN issues or anything that you might want to point.
Yeah, okay. So general rule of thumb with defense is we don't cloud base it unless we have written authorization from defense for that one project. Everything else will be stored on our servers, AECOM servers. In regards to the question with the VPN, no, we haven't had any issues with the VPN logging in. I tested it the other night and it worked really well.
Yeah.
We also have some in Brisbane anyway. We have 10 remote PCs that we've set up. So if we are having problems with the VPN, we are VPNing into those machines. So the grunt work's been done on the AECOM server, not the VPN and / home internet. Is that cool, Liz?
Beautiful. Elizabeth put in another question that, again, since we've got you here, I can ask you quickly, but it's AECOM related. She's asking about any plans of doing training sessions across the company, or is it up to individual projects to train? I can say from Revizto side, we're more than happy to help with training, but I can leave Darren to quickly say about AECOM specific training.
Yes, Liz. So each state has a champion, Liz. So your champion would be your go-to for training in your state. We can look at doing an Australia-wide Zoom style training session if you want. We'll have to talk to Ben May. So. And second option is we can get Revizto in to do a session as well, if you want. But obviously in this climate, it's a little bit hard to get them into the office. But we could do a Zoom or something. But training, yeah, not a problem. We can sort that out.
Cool. Nick Hughes is asking, do you provide project client access to Revizto? And if so, do they input issues or comments?
Definitely. Yes, we supply it to our clients. We encourage them to get in there and make issues. We give them, we set rights, privileges, I suppose you'd call it, inside Revizto. So they can't close items, they can create items. But yeah, definitely we encourage our clients to get in there.
Cool. Tina Dirks is asking, is there a separation for raised access floor and color?
Is there a separation for, sorry, where's that question?
Is there a separation for raised access floor and color? I was hoping you'd understand the question, to be honest.
No, I don't quite understand. what she means by
So
that.
Tina, if you hear this, if you can clarify the question a bit further, would be great. Sorry, I'm just going through. There's quite a few questions coming up as well. We won't be able to answer all of them, but I'm just going to see what's relevant.
I just found one.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
There's one that's asked, is there any problems with large projects and speed? Are there rules of thumb for how many models you can get into one Revizto model? That question depends on the job. We've got some high-rise jobs that we have to split up into basement, mid-rise, low-rise, purely for size. The number of models linked in, I think I've done 120 something-ish, just over 100 Revit files. Granted, it wasn't a massive building, but still. So yeah, no, I haven't run into any problems that it couldn't handle so far.
Beautiful. There's a question from Renato Souza. Do you have consultants and trades using Revizto, and how was their adoption? Do you still use it for projects not entirely in 3D? I can answer this question from the Revizto point of view. We have a lot of different consultants and trades across our client base using Revizto all over Australia, New Zealand, and elsewhere in the world. We also have some clients that use Revizto. Specifically, I heard from my colleagues in Switzerland, we have clients that use Revizto just for 2D reviews without even 3D models as well. But I can also let Darren answer this question as well as in how it works within the AECOM environments.
Yeah, yes, similar answer to yours, Vlad. We've got trades on board now. A lot of our projects are DNC, but our trades guys are picking up these models after we've done our design and coordination. I've got one from Mark Ford, which is a AECOM guy as well. So major projects with joint ventures, are there licensing issues with sharing licenses? The host company that has the license. So for instance, Mark's talking about a job in New Zealand for CRL. It's a WSP AECOM joint venture. For that project, I would recommend the JV would buy Revizto licenses for that project, because there's two companies involved and it's a JV. It's unfair on AECOM or WSP and also Revizto for people to share that license. So for JVs, I'd go down the route of purchasing the license for that JV. Vlad, do you want anything to add to that?
That's really a separate conversation for any separate JV or client, so we can always take it offline and have a direct conversation with anyone that's interested in developing that. There was a question I wanted to address by Dale Harrison, who's asking, have you ever used Revizto on large linear projects, similar to the above question? Before I let Darren answer, I'll just let everyone know that Revizto is currently used on very large linear projects all over the place. So to focus on Australia in particular, we've got a lot of alliances that use Revizto on rail projects in Victoria and in Melbourne. We've got a Melbourne Tunnel and Metro project using Revizto, for example. Level crossing removal projects, parts of WestConnex in Sydney, Cross River Rail in Brisbane, and Metronet in Perth, all using Revizto already. So yeah, we do have a lot of linear ones. And Darren, feel free to add anything to that.
Yep, I'm just going to share my screen quickly for Dale. Can you see that screen? Yep, cool. So this is a job that remained unnamed. So this is a linear project, I suppose you could say. It's a 15 or 20 kilometre long stretch of road. As you can see, we've got it inside of Revizto. This is in the map settings, by the way, if anyone doesn't know. So short answer is yes, we are we are using it on linear projects. Cool.
Beautiful. Question by an anonymous attendee who didn't want to share their name. Have you had any issues with working with Bentley models in Revizto before? Have you mainly been working with Revit and Autodesk models? I'll just answer this quickly. For those that are not aware, we actually rolled out a MicroStation plugin towards the end of last year. So that's now fully available. And I'll let Darren answer the question of whether he's ever encountered Bentley products as well, or just Autodesk.
90% of my stuff has been Autodesk. Some of our mining guys downstairs use some Bentley products, and we've used other ways and means to get it in, mainly Navisworks in the past. But now that the integration's there, it's just direct.
Beautiful. There's one question that's rather general, so we'll see if Darren can give a concise answer to that. But George Economakis, what is the benefit of Revizto over some other collaboration platforms like BIM 360 or Solibri, etc.? Darren, is there a couple of sentences you can use to address that?
Yeah, okay, so I'll keep it short. BIM 360 collaboration isn't there yet in my eyes. That's my opinion. Solibri is too bloody expensive, and Revizto is just much easier to use than any other viewer. So that's sort of AECOM's view of why we use Revizto over the others that you mentioned.
Suppose if we talk Solibri as well, very important to know that Revizto is a cloud tool, whereas Solibri is not really.
Correct. Don't get me wrong, Solibri does great things, but we don't need it to do those things.
Cool. Alan Tears asking, have you tested the multi-user VR experience for reviewing clashes live with other consultants or contractor? And how is the latency experience? Yes,
we have. We brought a client that will remain unnamed into our office, threw a headset on them and walked them through their building, pretty much. It was more of a spatial exercise, that one, but we also, in doing so, were walking around the project, they were picking out issues as they were walking around. So we originally brought them in to give them an idea of the spatial aspect of the project, but as they got more and more embedded in the models, they were finding clashes and issues, and I don't quite like that. And actually a funny one is we had a high-rise in Brisbane where we looked from the building next door, which was a old people's hospice style building, and they could look from one of the rooms into the toilets and they could see someone sitting on the toilet. So like things like that you wouldn't really pick up on a 2D bit of paper. So they're picking up problems with the design and just general architectural problems. So yeah, no, we've definitely had a few VR sessions, and the uptake's been really good actually.
Thanks. Beautiful. Duncan is asking, how do you manage the handover to contractors after design is complete? Do you?
No, in short, we will supply a model to the point that we're finished, and then we'll hand it over. We're happy to hand it over, but what they do with it after that's up to them.
But do you just invite them to the project, or do you just save it as? Or invite them and let them be?
We invite them and let them be. Yep. We hand it over.
Cool. Another question from an anonymous attendee. This can also be directed to Luke as well. He's got some experience with it. Have you used the IVC exporter and found problems on the output depending on the discipline design tool used?
Not really with Autodesk products. The piping mech plant, what's it called? There's a mech program that they use piping for downstairs here. We've had a bit of trouble with that, but Autodesk products, no.
Yeah, just to jump in, Revizto uses a an open source package for reading and writing IFC. And if we ever come across an issue that we're not dealing with correctly, we just basically request those sample files from you, and we get the developers to look into it and to solve it, in effect, improving the toolkit.
Yep.
Cool, thanks, Luke. Chris Rossetto's asking, thanking us for great presentation. Thank you, Chris, for attending. Has the uptake of Revizto reduced the amount of coordination workshops and meetings you need to have?
Yes and no. We're still having our weekly coordination meetings. That is just a little bit different now, I suppose you could say. You know, we throw up a Revizto model on a screen and we go through the issues for that week, and then we have a general fly through of our model. So I wouldn't say there's less coordination meetings. We still have the same amount, but I reckon they take less time, which is probably, you know, there's a win in that. So you're not in a room for 3 hours, you know, you could knock one out in an hour and a half instead of 3 hours.
Beautiful. Joel Ocampo's asking, and this can be a question for Luke as well, because Luke's working with all of our clients in this region. Do you only use Revizto at design phase or extend it to fabrication phase?
So from AECOM's point of view, design phase.
Yeah.
Yeah, so AECOM as a design consultant, that's where they're focused. We have clients using it in pre-construction, heading out on site with the iPad before any designs happen, checking existing conditions, and through design phase into construction, coordination, synchronizing all the clashes, then out on site again after it's been fabricated and built, validating things are installed correctly, as-built reviews, and then we have some clients using it for FM as a portal to the drawings and the model and ways of batching modification works together as well.
Thanks, Luke. Devash is asking, this would be for Darren, are you measuring productivity increase using Revizto in some way? And if yes, what metrics do you use?
So monthly we run a report on users to see how often they're logging in and how often they're not, actually. As most companies, we have a license agreement. We have a certain amount of licenses we need to stick to. So we need to report to see if people are using those licenses. Productivity-wise, again, yes. Those reports that I showed on the screen are quite clear that, you know, things are getting done on the projects. If there was a lot of open issues that weren't being solved or reviewed, then it's quite clear that the productivity is down on that project. So they're quite clear indicators for us.
Cool, thanks. So another question is around BI reporting. How can we create Revizto Clash reports in Power BI dashboard?
So they're exported Excel files from the reports that I showed, and then there's a template that we use and we just bring them in and they update in Power BI.
Cool. There's a question around 12D, just any problem with 12D products. We obviously don't have a direct plugin for 12D, but we do have a lot of clients utilizing 12D models into Revizto. I can ask either Darren or Luke to give a bit more detailed answer around that.
Quickly, in the past, I've gone through the Navisworks route to get it in.
Yeah, and that's how most people do it. If we don't have a direct plugin, such as for 12D, they'll federate into Navisworks and go from there.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll have a time maybe for a couple more questions, and then we'll proceed with Luke showcasing some of the 5.0 output functionality. Sorry, I'm just scrolling because there's quite a lot of questions. See which ones I might have missed.
I've been responding to some via text as well. So
yeah, I've been typing some text ones as well, Vlad.
Okay, so does that show in the question answer if you've responded as well? Yeah, in the answers probably. All right. Then
There's a quick one down the bottom, Vlad, while I was reading through. An anonymous attendee's asked, are Revizto planning on opening up Power BI rather than exporting from Excel spreadsheets?
good question. The short answer is yes, we're planning to build APIs sometime in the future, most probably planned for this year, but that's still to be confirmed. But absolutely in our plans. Okay, so I'll review all the answered ones because obviously I don't have time now because the guys have been responding to some, and I've seen a couple of questions that were more kind of user side questions. So we will contact directly any one of you guys that have posted questions that we believe are connected directly to your usage of Revizto, your company's workflows, and so on and so forth. Looking out, we're just reaching out directly and see if we can arrange a call or a meeting with you guys to discuss those. Now,
my email address is there too, Vlad, if anyone wants to shoot me a direct question.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. We have it on the screen, Darren's email address. If anyone's got direct questions for Darren, feel free to contact him. He's very approachable and nice. Thanks a lot, Darren, for that.